What is philosophy? The word philosophy actually comes from the Greek term philosophia, which literally means a love of wisdom. And that's exactly what philosophy is. It's a love of wisdom, it's a desire to have wisdom, and it's a search for wisdom. So philosophy is dealing with all things which are wise. There are different aspects to the studies of philosophy. One would be the study of logic, which is the art of correct and proper reasoning. Another would be the study of metaphysics, which deals with different aspects of reality. For example, being and existing, time and space, and the relationship that the mind has with the body. Epistemology is another study of philosophy, and what that deals with is the study of knowledge and its scope, limits, and boundaries. There was an ancient Greek philosopher named Socrates. I'm sure most all of you know him. And he used to talk about wisdom a lot. And when he talked about wisdom and he talked about himself, he would say, I am wise, because a wise man admits he knows nothing. And I am wise in the way that I know nothing. And he had a concept that he wrote. Well, he was actually illiterate. He couldn't write. But other people interpreted his works for him, namely Plato. So he had a concept and he called it Socratic ignorance. And basically what that was that he believed that all people were ignorant to a degree. And it was in knowing and accepting and understanding this ignorance and where we are deficient as human beings that we actually really become wise and intelligent creatures. And until we realize that fact, that we're pretty dumb. So, actually kind of agree with him. I think it's true. So anyways, in the emptiness of existence, the first real big topic that Arthur Schopenhauer discusses in his ideas is the concept of time. And to Arthur Schopenhauer, time is only relevant in the current moment. And once time has passed and events and people have passed and they are no longer in the present, they become totally useless in your life. So he believes that life doesn't have a true meaning or a purpose. He believes that life is meaningless. And so one of his arguments is the fact that time is so frivolous and unstable, and he feels that that really prevents us from having any true meaning in life. So I will read what he wrote. Time is that by which at every moment all things become as nothing in our hands, and thereby lose all their true value. What has been exists no more, and exists just as little as that which has never been. But everything that exists has been in the next moment. Hence, something belonging to the present, however unimportant it may be, is superior to anything belonging in the past. This is because the former is a reality and related to the latter as something is to nothing. Of every event in our lives, we will only say for a moment that it is. After that, forever, we must say that it was. Reflection of the nature of those above may indeed establish the belief that to enjoy the present and live life to the fullest is the greatest wisdom, since it is the present alone that is real, everything else being only the play of thought. But such a purpose might as well be called the greatest folly. For that which in the next moment exists no more and vanishes as completely as a dream can never be worth a serious effort. It was really long and wordy, but in a nutshell, time and the fact that it's so temporary guarantees us the meaninglessness of all things. Okay, so I'll go on. In a world like this, where there is no kind of stability, no possibility of anything lasting, but where everything is thrown into a restless whirlpool of change, where everything hurries on, flies, and is maintained in the balance by a continual advancing and moving, it is impossible to imagine happiness. It cannot dwell here, as becoming and being is all that ever takes place. First of all, no man is happy. He strives his whole life long after imaginary happiness, which he seldom attains. And if he does, then it is only to be disillusioned, and as a rule, he is shipwrecked in the end and enters the harbor dismasted. Then it is all the same whether he has been happy or unhappy in a life which was made up of a merely ever-changing present and is now at its end. Okay, so basically what he is saying there is he's saying that man is never able to achieve happiness. We have desires and wants and drives that we aim and strive for, but we usually fall short of those. And so that's where we end up running into. Schopenhauer discussed the will to live. And basically what he defined as the will to live was two basic drives. So there were two basic drives that man has that he feels are the essence of life. And the first one is hunger, and the second one is sex. Now, when he first talked about hunger, he made an analogy in his writing which he discussed people as organic matter, and he compared us to inorganic matter. And what he said was that inorganic matter is constantly under risk of being attacked by chemical forces, which eventually annihilates it. And organic matter, by way of understanding that we have a need to sustain and nourish, are able to keep ourselves in motion for a limited period of time. And he defined hunger as the ultimate drive of human consciousness. He said by us being aware of the fact that we need to take care of our bodies and take care of our minds, and that we need to feed ourselves, because if we don't, we'll die. He said in that understanding and drive for us to sustain our own bodies, we become complex animals or creatures of consciousness. So hunger was a big drive for him. Now, when he talked about sex, he just basically, he didn't discuss sex as as necessary for life. He didn't say, oh, if you don't have sex, you'll die. Like, if you don't eat, you'll die. He just said that it was something that man always wants, and that, as long as he is able, he's never going to grow tired of it. So, and then afterwards, he talks about satisfaction and a man's appetite. He believed human desires to be very vain, and he said that man's appetite was too insatiable for him to ever reach total satisfaction. So, in a sense, life follows a series of wants and desires followed by impulses. And then we achieve what we desire. And then when we achieve what we desire, we come to a state of nothingness, or what he calls boredom. And so basically what boredom is the proof or feeling of emptiness in life. So he said when we reach the state of boredom, we are aware that life is nothing. So we come to that state again until our mind and our bodies are sparked for another passion or desire, and then we go and we seek that out. And then and the cycle continues. And so so he just basically talked about it as a vicious cycle. Okay. So when he talked about desires, he said our first task was to win it, and our second was to put it down and forget about it, because after we have conquered something, it then becomes a burden to us. He said, the fact that human life must be a kind of mistake is so sufficiently clear from the fact that man is a compound of needs, which, if they are satisfied, all he is granted is a state of painlessness, in which he can only give himself up to boredom. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more educational tidbits.